Well, I'm back in the quilting world again and back using this lovely system called ACCU-QUILT. You quilters out there, if you don't have this system, you really should have it, and it saves you a ton of time when it comes to being very precise and cutting. Sometimes, these acrylic squares and things work okay, but when you have a die cut that does it very succinctly, you can't beat it. Now, this particular pattern that I started working on, it's called a plated block, and this is basically what one block comes out to be. I think that's like, how big is this thing? It ends up being about 12 inches, 12 inch by 12 inch block. This is a really nice size if you want to hook two together to make some placemats. What I'm doing is I'm making a holiday tablecloth, and it's going to be very lightly quilted, so I don't need a Christmas blanket or Christmas quilt. So I'm going to show you how this system helps cut out so much guesswork for you. This particular design, called a plated block, this is the die cut that comes with it, and with this die cut it's labeled the different parts that you're going to do, or components, A, B, C, D, and along with it, what's wrapped around it is the instructions. This is the instructions that were wrapped around it. As you can see, it's the same length as the die cut, and on the reverse side you have the finished look, and then you have what you need, what you can do to finish it off. I also have the die cut that does the strips, that does the binding around the outside, for when that time comes. But down here it tells you how to sew it. It tells you how many of the components you need. It's color coded, which is great. I had a bit of a time trying to figure out why I had the letter B was a white square and so is the letter C. It's the same print material. So for this particular quilted item, you're only using 3 colors. I'm using a Christmas red, a Christmas green, and then these cardinals. I had this piece of material that had cardinals all over it. So how to use the ACCU-QUILT. This is the most easiest thing you're ever going to have to use in your life. You won't, you have a pattern, you have the mechanics to cut it out exactly, then you have how to put it together exactly, and all the guesswork is taken out of it. You don't have to come up with a design, it's right there. And these designs are free. They have free patterns on ACCUQUILT.com. I wouldn't mind, being a spokesperson for them because I love their stuff. I love everything I've ever gotten from them, and I've did a big investment in it. So there's a small ACCU-QUILT, the baby one, and then this is the ACCU-QUILT Go. This one still is hand cranked. They have an electric one. It was a little out of my budget range, but I figured why not, get a little bit of arm muscle action going there. So what I did first was I got my 3 materials out, and I cut 4 to 5 inch strips. Now why did I do that? Because I'm going to put them however many squares I need or die cuts out of this on each section, the A, the B, C, and D. Okay. In the instructions, it says for one block I need 3 letter A's. So I know that I only need 3 layers of fabric. The great thing about this ACCU-QUILT system is you can cut up to 6 layers of material on here. That's 6 components that you can cut out like this in seconds, whereas before you would have to use this little guy here, and you'd put it on your fabric, and you'd use your rotary cutter, and you cut here, and then you reposition it so you can cut the other 2 sides. A lot of wasted time. This does it all for you in the crank of a hand. So simple. So I'm going to put that over there. Since I know I need 3 of these, now what I wanted to do for my design was to have this little cardinal guy kind of in the middle of the square. And if you look at your fabric in the long, you know, when you cut your strips out, like I cut this long strip out, if you notice, the pattern repeats itself every so many inches. So all I needed to do was cut out a little bit larger than what this is, because this is going to trim it exactly, and then place it on here, and that way my cardinal is going to be in the center. So I've got one that I already cut out. I just showed it to you. But this one's already been cut by the ACCU-QUILT. So we're going to cut 3 more of these. Okay. So I did a 5x5 square with the little cardinal in the center, and I'm going to place him in the middle, as best in the middle as I can. But I also want to make sure that when I do my 1/4 inch seam around it, that I don't cut his head off. So I cut it big enough around him so that I still will be able to see the top of his head. I might cut a little bit of his tail off, but I just want to see most of him on it. So I'm just kind of making sure it's in the center. And then I'm going to do that with, so I have 1, I need 3. So I'm going to do 2 more. So I'm just going to cut this off here. And I don't waste anything on these by cutting off this strip here, because this is basically a 2-inch strip from, you know, from the design. And what if I need to make another triangle cut, I've got a piece to do it with. So it's good to keep the strips that you have that actually have a full measurement. Excuse me. So if they're 1.5 inches or more, hold on to them, because you might need them for doing a little triangle corner or something, because that's what I do. So since I cut this guy like this, I'm going to put this one on here and hopefully get him in the center. So I'm going to cut in the middle of the pattern of birds. So it's going to be a little bit wider. I'll just do 2 more. And then I'll position them on there where I hope to put them in the center as close as I can. These are the little fat ones. He's more of a skinny one. So I'm going to go ahead and put this guy on top. And I'm going to line up the top with the top of this, because I know that's where I want my top seam to be, so it doesn't cut into him. And that looks good. 1 more. I'm going to try to actually match him up exactly on there. So there's my 3 letter A's, because it tells you in the instructions, get this finished piece out of the way, that you will need 3 letter A's, which is my main print, which is the cardinal print, is the main material print. And then the red and green are going to be this light color and the dark color. In the instructions here, as a light one, that'll be my red, that'll be my green. So for this shape, it says I need to make 2 of each color combination. So I need 2 of those. So 2 with the cardinal with the red and 2 of the cardinal with the green. So going back to the top, as you'll see, there are the white color box. That's my cardinal print, and so I've got 4 of those, and 1 red and 1 green. But it says make 2 of each. So there's 4 cardinal squares, doubled is 8, and then 2 green and 2 red. So this makes 4 letter B's, which is, that's what this particular part is a letter B. So I need 2 layers of the cardinal, because I need 8, and just 1 of the red and the green. So let's see, I had them set aside here in order. Okay, so there's 1 red, 1 green, 1 cardinal. I need 1 more piece of cardinal onto there. That goes there. And put this guy up there. I'll just put a piece of that underneath this. Just cut it to the same size. I thought I had another one on here, but I may have got myself, since I knew that goes there. And cut across here. And that could make another square almost. It might just do. So I've got my 2 cardinal layers because I need 8 for this part, and I have a layer of red, which makes 4, but I only need 2, so this is enough to make a second motif. And then there's the green. So then I'm going to lay those. Let's see which way they'll fit. They'll fit this way. I don't know if that fits like that or not. It's kind of close. It might just work. Let's see if I can line this green one up here. And if it's too short, I'll have to get another piece of green to put on there. Yeah, it's a little short. So this strip was a little bit narrower than I had anticipated. So let's see if we got one that's... So I thought I actually had one on there. I guess I do not. So here's where I pull out my green material and put one on there. Let's see. Yep. Just make one a little bit wider. Yeah, I think that'll work. So I'm going to take this off and measure it. Make sure it overlaps. Overlaps well. Looks like it does. Move that piece off. Then try it out on here. You always want to make sure that you press your fabric before you put it to be cut, because the wrinkles will make your seams off if you're not careful. So there's that green. So make sure that green one is fully covering that die cut part. Put these guys on top. And then this is for the triangle portions. And it's okay if they overlap a little bit because I'm not putting more than 6 layers of fabric on here. So for these guys, the triangle ones, it says 2 together as shown. So 2 of each. So what I will need is 4 of the cardinal print and 2 red and 2 green. So there's 4 out there. So this works out great because I only need 1 layer of fabric for each one. So I need 1 of each for that. And make sure that this gets in there where it's supposed to be. Yep. And then on the end here, there are these, the letter D, and it says for there you're making 2 of each. So I've got it where this cuts 2. So this is actually going to cut 4 of each one. And what I forgot about this one was there's actually another, I need 8 of the cardinals for this particular spot because, so I'm doing 4 layers of fabric on here, okay? Because it's also under here. So this one has 4. This one says to cut 2 of each. So that's 2, that's 4 more. So I needed 4 more on there. So once you have your fabric all put onto the die cut, there are, now I don't have the long these they're basically like a self-healing mat. I don't have the long ones up here, so I'm using 2 of these. And what I'm going to do is when I get down to this part, I'll just, this one will be done, I'll put it on the back side. So this is how you put it in the machine. It's not even a machine, it's more like just a gadget. And you put it, make sure you hold that first mat down, and you turn it to pull it through. And as you pull it through, it cuts. It cuts through the material. And once I get this first mat through, I'll line it up with the back side of the second one, because now this part's done cutting, and you'll see it creates static electricity, so it like will pull stuff up with it. So we'll take that off. That, put it on the back side, just like this, and finish cutting. Excuse me. Just like so. So now that's done, I can just pull that one out. And we'll show you what happens where the action is underneath. See, it'll stick to these because it creates static electricity. And any little skinny straps, the edgings, you just toss those. Unless you got some really neat way of making some kind of a craft with them. I haven't figured that out yet. But I have this plastic bag that I put the components in, but I'm going to show you what I also do while I'm constructing it. Okay? So the instructions have A, B, C, and D. I'm going to prop this right up here. Okay? So this is the A, which is the centerpiece. And you have this little window. You could probably use that for some, I don't know, something. If you're getting into some cute little picture frame kind of things, you can use it for that. And then what's left behind is a perfectly cut square for the letter A portion of the quilting pattern. So here, the second one is B. And so what I do is I line them up, A, B, C, D. It just makes it easier. And sometimes you'll find that it doesn't completely cut because of the layers, because I actually added that one layer in there. And it's usually just a little nick. Probably means I need to clean out my die cut. There is a die cut cleaning tool that I have. Probably should use it because I have used this particular pattern quite a bit the last couple days. Go like that, and I'm just these little frame parts, just cutting them away. Make sure I didn't leave any in there. Nope, there's none in there. Okay, so this is the A. This is B. I'm not using a rotary cut to separate them because it's literally just like two little pieces of thread. So that's B. Here's the red B. Put all the red ones together. And there's the rest of the bird ones. There's red. That. So I'm going to have 3 of everything as far as color-wise goes. So there's that, and there's the other, because I knew I needed 8 of those guys, and there's that green. Here's the rest of the green. See, there's the other edge. I'm going to cut it nice and even. Sometimes if it slides underneath, you'll get a square that might be kind of not totally square. It'll be kind of angled, so that one you don't want to use that because it will mess up your matching of your seams. And then there's the outside of C, the C section. The C section is the triangles. So I've got a bird on there, green and red, and we'll put these guys together. And I'm going to do this in a couple different parts, but this is to show you first how to use the ACCU-QUILT using a die cut, and show you how easy it is. Super, super easy it is. And to point out some things on the parts that get cut out here, which helps you with matching them up for seaming for the components, the different components. used to make the design. See, as you can see, that's the outer part of it, and then the little triangles are left inside. And just separate those. And if you want to do like all your little corners or triangle parts first, you can. I suggest following the instructions because it just makes more sense to do it, you know, how they've got it set up. And see if I can get this guy off of here. There's the red, the long red, and this is the D portion of it. So there's a red one and a green one. There's the red ones. And there's the green. Oh, get over there. There's some green ones. Like that. Green there. More red ones. I think we got all the red ones out of there. So there's all the greens. Yeah. Same thing there. So basically what I did was I measured the width of this and I added another 1/2 inch or more. 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch, and just cut a strip that wide. That's really all I did. Okay. So what I did with this particular design for putting things together, I know I only need 2 of these. So I'd go ahead and put this out of the way first. And I'm going to close this up and just drape this over the top. Okay. And then just pin, since it has it with the stripe, solid stripe at the bottom, then I know I'm going to have, since I have this bird that I want to be, you know, facing up, I know that I'm going to pin it so that when after it's sewn, it's going to look like this. Okay, so I'm going to pin these. I like to pin as much of the components as possible first before I stitch any of them. Just because that way I can kind of do it in like an assembly line. You can take, and I'll show you in the next video on this project, how you can do that on the sewing machine by you stitch one and the next one you have it right next to it and you just feed them through, and then all you do is just snip that one little stitch in between that falls into the cracks between them. So I only need 2 of these. I have enough to do a second block, which would be my 3rd block actually. And I like to put these pins, the smaller pins, as close as I can to the edge, because these are really thin dressmaker pins, which works out really well for something like this because it doesn't let the fabric slide around. And so this is the 3rd one. This is the one they don't mention up here, but it's down here. Because when you go to put it together, you've got 1, 2, and then there's another one on the other side. And this gives you 2 motifs to match up, and this is how you match them up. So you make the one like I have, and then what in the next video part, I'm going to show you how to match them up. Since we've got that one done, the next one's going to match up to it. I don't know how many of these I'm going to need to cover this table. Probably, I'm thinking 4 across by 2, probably about 8 down. So we'll see. And this is the other one that I need for that. This is 2. Okay, 2 of each. My bad. Yeah, that. So it's actually 5 altogether. And I had it over here. I just lost track of what I was doing. So this is going to be 2 reds and 2 greens. Yeah, I misread it. It said 2 of each. So 1 with red, or 2 with red and 2 with green. So match those up. This is I call this the tedious part of the cutting them out, and it's like done. It used to be the cutting out was the tedious part. Not anymore. Not when you have an ACCU-QUILT system, and especially this Go, because this handles the big die cuts, and it also handles the small ones. So I would suggest getting this one, so that way if you get the larger ones that have the long strips, that you'll already have something that works for everything. And this guy here, green. I did 2 reds, and I got 2 greens. I know I have another bird cut out here somewhere to match up that. So I'm going to put that one there. And you want to make sure that your edges match perfectly. You also want to make sure that you're consistent in your seams. And I'm going to show you how that is accomplished for part 2. This is just part 1. Being able to understand the instructions, getting it cut out, and positioning it. So this is all your letter A's. Remember I said I line them up? So here's my A's. My B's are the guys that have the 2 bird fabric with red in the center or green in the center. And there's 2 of each of those. So you take 1, 2, and then with a red. Now I'll pin one side, and I'll pin the other side. Sometimes I'll pin them like this. I'll pin them long ways. If I'm going to like pin the whole thing, so like that, and then take this side and pin that. Because when you do it the other way, when you do it, straight out this way, then it's hard to kind of lay it out on your table to get ready to be sewn. Then you just reposition it when you put it in the machine. So here's my first B. I'm going to leave that just like, kind of like that. So I know that's B, A, B. And I need one more here. Pin this one together. You could take it right to the machine and go ahead and do it. I'm doing it this way. Right sides together as always. And like this. So I need 2 of each of these. So here's, and I did it this way. I folded it up this way so that I could see the red. Okay, and then so now I know I need to do 2 green ones. So I actually have enough here for more than what I need. I always like to cut a little bit more because I know it's not going to go to waste. Like that, and like this. I had this piece of material sitting around for, gosh, a couple of years and never did anything with it. And I thought, you know what, that'd make a pretty tablecloth. So there's the green one. So I'll put, these are A, B, C is going to go here. So do one more green one, which is, there's the 2 for that. And pin that one to there. Very important, edges even, corners and all that. And that's, a lot of times that's why I will pin them this way. And I'll pin it back a little further so it doesn't slide around, so I can stitch it and so it stays straight. It's just a little tip. That's, some people will do, the standard pinning. You can do that, but sometimes it just makes a little more sense to do it long ways instead of perpendicular,
because this way I could put my pin literally, you guys can't see, I'll put my pin literally higher up, so when I have it in the sewing machine, this isn't going to move. It's not going, the two fibers aren't going to slide around, and I can stitch it and it'll stay straight. But I'm pinning it like this for construction purposes. So there's the green one, and I like to do, I did that on backwards, didn't I? I sure did. See, it's always good to double check yourself. Right sides together, yes, silly girl. Okay. Did like that. Okay, now I gotta get to see that. I probably should angle this down a little bit. I'll just hold them up. Now, so that's my B. C is got the bird print and then a solid color. So these are two triangles that are going to be sewn together to make a square. Now the cool thing about the ACCU-QUILT system is that when you have that, especially on this particular design, when it cuts your triangle, it doesn't cut a straight triangle. It doesn't make a straight line. It gives you this little tab here, that's what I call it, that gives you your seam. So the rest of it becomes part of the design. So this is like an extra addition to the shape, so that when you actually sew it and you unfold it, it actually is a perfect square. Who knew? So on this one it says 4 of each. Excuse me. And that's what I was saying. It's like, oh, okay, I need actually 4 more. That's when I put the extra fabric on there. So right sides together, line them up real exactly right next to each other. Like I said, instead of going like this, I mean, I could pin them this way, but I'm going to pin them this way so that I can just put it on the machine and stitch down it and then open up and press them. So this is C, and there's 4 of each of these guys. So I have more over there. Like that, and like this. Try to make sure that I don't see any of the other color like kind of hanging out over top of it. Sometimes I'll pin them on the back side just to double check. I mean, you can pin it on the same side every time, but every once in a while I flip them around. And I know I've got more in here. More red ones because I didn't quite put enough. Come on, out. Okay. So 2. This is 3. Like this. I'll actually show you one over here. That's 3. And this will be 4. Like that. And when you open them up, after you stitch the seam and you open them up, you end up with a, because of that extra curve, you end up with a perfect little square. There's the red one. And there's the green ones. And that's what's really neat about this, is like it takes all the guesswork out. You don't have to, scrunch around with it and try to get it to work. It just, they give you that 1/4 inch in the shape of the triangle so that it works. There's that. Oh, there's the red one I was missing. This one's 2. And 3, and one more after that. Dusty in here. 4. Now number 4 is your rectangular piece, and then you add to it this square that has the half and half. That's these guys. Okay. So for the red, you would need a red with a, and you want to watch for how this, so the print portion comes up, and there's the red, and the red attached to the red. So we would pin those that way. Get this on here. Now what's neat about how this is put together is it shows you to do each of the corners. And at first I thought, how's that going to work? You know, but you do each of the corners, and then you put your components in rows, which is just like with any quilting. You do it in rows, like you do a square, then you do another one, and you sew them together in rows, big long rows. That's so that all of your stitching goes to the center. So here's this one. This is D, A, B, C, and D. Okay, and I need one more of these. I believe. Do I have another one over here? Maybe not. I may have to sew one. I had one. Oh yeah, I do. Never mind. I have them right here. Yeah, right here. So this again would be, it's got to go this way. Because if you notice, it's red on the bottom. The flower or print fabric is going to be at the top. And pin those little guys on there. I always pin one at the top of it when they're little thin strips like this, and one at the bottom. So I pin it one at the top, one at the bottom. And that's 2 red. What did it say? 2 of each. So I need 2 green. So I got 2 green. There's 1. And the green goes the same way. Where that flower print is supposed to be up, so I got to turn this around and make sure it looks just like this. Okay, put that green there together. And pin that little guy at the top and at the bottom. Come on, together. And just one more. That one looks kind of crooked, like it didn't cut quite right. That's why I have an extra one over here. And so we're going to go like that. Nope, it goes this way. It goes up that way. Always double check and make sure that you got it in the right direction, because it could mess up your interlocking design if you don't. So put that in there. And this one in here. So let me move this down just a little bit. So there we go. Now you can see what I've got here. So I've got A, B, C, these are the squares, and D. Yeah. Because actually D has, here's C's, it's D plus a C. I forgot to point that out. Now, once you have these all sewn, then that's when you go to adding these guys. So, I've got a B, C, and C. Do I have B, C, and C? Let's have 5. So, like 2 of each. B, C, C, B. Okay. So, it's B, C, and C, and then B. So it's it's kind of confusing. It's like B, C, C, B. So it's I know what I'm doing here. So it's one of these. Okay, here's a green one. Okay. And the B, oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. This is the fifth element. Excuse my bad. I forgot. Even though it's A, B, C, D, there is a fifth element. And the fifth element has the two halves, the C. Okay, that's your C. And then there's a B on either end. One of the B's is going to be the floral print and one is going to be the solid print. So here's the green one. So the green one is going to be, and you want to make sure again that your floral print is where it's supposed to be. So this one has to be like this. And then a green square goes here. So this one goes here. This is why you don't want to do this too fast. Like, I almost missed this step. It happened with the first one too. The first square that I did. I was like, whoops, almost. So. Where's my green square? There it is. And then there's two of these, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. These are part of the construction of the corner. I'm going to stick this pin long way so you can kind of see. I'm going to turn these other ones long ways too, because it's hard to show you exactly how this is going to look once it's stitched when I have them pinned the other way. So when this gets stitched, it's going to look like this. Just like here you've got, this is the dark color, which is the green, 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 and then print, and then print. So green, green, print, and print. This becomes this part of the design right here. You see this one has red, red, print, print. That's what I'm making right now. That's what I'm pinning together. And I'd forgotten about that step. So I'm glad. So it's like basically 5. Step 6 is where you actually make the corners, where you put these smaller components together and you make a corner out of it. So let's see if I have all the pieces I need. I got red, red, and then this guy, if I'm not mistaken. So we know we need 2 of those. I try to keep the greens next to the greens. And then, so the red would go like this with like that. Comes up to a point this way. And then flip it over to pin it. Get it in there. Come on. Sometimes it doesn't want to go. There we go. That's another reason why it's good to put the pins in long ways, because then you can actually see what it's going to end up looking like in a way. And then wrong one. It's supposed to be a square, you silly girl. It's a square. Hook to it. Not a rectangle. Because I have to look at it close. There is a line there. And that line shows that it's actually a square. There we go. So basically it's 3 squares hooked to each other. And the other flower square, where are you? There it is. Da, 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 da. Like this. So basically it's going to look like that. So I've got that one. And I should have enough for another one. Come here, you. So, let's see. I'm constantly holding these up, looking like that. Yep, that way. So I need two. I thought I was going to need like 8 of these for, and it's not. It's just, it's really cool how they all kind of fit together. And so, being a visual person, I'm constantly double checking myself. And then there should be another one probably in here. Look, it's on the floor. All these extra pieces out here. But I didn't cut enough of the birdies. So I'm going to cut some more squares because I miscounted. I actually needed 4 more. I didn't account for this one here. So through this whole process of the 5 sections to make up one corner, actually it makes up the whole thing. I miscounted. And I'm human. We do that. So if this is a design that you like, please come back for part 2. It's getting late here. I want to finish cutting up the squares I need to, and then we're going to piece this thing together. And I think you'll like it. Yes, it's more of an advanced kind of thing, but you can use the same idea, and I'll show you in the next video how you can do it just like with a simple 9 patch. Same thing, just not as many pieces that you have to cut. Okay, so I hope you've enjoyed it. Can't wait to see how this ends up matching up. You'll get to see it matching up the seams and everything. I'll try to get a better camera angle so you can actually see where they fall when they're being put together, and I'll also calculate how big of a piece I need for this table in here. So have fun sewing, have fun quilting, get an ACCU-QUILT, and get the Go system. This is Go-QUILT. It's ACCU-QUILT.com, and you will never regret it. If you're an avid quilter and you hate having to take the scissors and your hands get sore and tired from constantly cutting or using your rotary blade with these things and the slides around, this doesn't slide around. You put the fabric on there and you roll it through and it cuts it for you. So I never wanted to do quilts until I discovered this, and a friend of mine told me about it. And I'm very thankful, and yet I spent too much money to do. I've got all kinds of designs I could show you. But this is kind of the crafty side of the sew what seamstress thing. I'm going to be doing some other things that are more clothing oriented, like a hooded scarf. Keep your eyes open for my hooded scarf video. It's coming up in probably the next few days or so. So God bless, take care, and be safe.